Hi everyone, Empress Justice here and welcome to Empress Justice Daily once again. I'm actually doing a video on the Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds connection when it comes to the frequency weaponry and everything that's going on in the world right now. Now, first off, I would like to give my condolences to the little girl in Leicester Square in London who was stabbed by a grown man who tried to kill her. So, my condolences go out to that beautiful little girl and her family. I'm so sorry to hear that she's gone through this, and I really, really hope that she pulls through and she makes a complete and full recovery. So my blessings and condolences to that little girl and her family. I hope they pull through. I hope they make it out okay. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, the purpose of this video is to talk about Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds and the whole connection. It's a loose connection that I'm making, but it's a connection between the two that I've observed. So first of all, I have to talk about Taylor Swift's end of it, right? Where Taylor Swift comes in, it goes back to a video that I saw being made by Minutes of Horror, I think their YouTube name is. I don't know the name of the YouTuber, but I will post a link in YouTube. There were news reports of people losing their memories when Taylor Swift was on stage. Like when Taylor Swift was on stage, they noticed that when concert goers left the concert, their memories were completely wiped. They couldn't remember a thing. Okay. Now, this YouTuber speculated that it was black magic specifically, that it was just, black magic and rituals and stuff like that. Now, don't get it twisted, okay? A lot of these higher end creative types, they do use ritualism on stage. A lot of high end organizations, any organizations who are serious about being successful, they use egregores to do it. Any company that is actually serious about being successful, they use egregores. I'm telling you this right now for nothing. So when it comes to, Taylor Swift and Sam Smith and all these performers getting on stage and performing rituals, yes, they will perform rituals on stage and they will use egregores. They will use magic to enhance the success of the song. I think it was someone from Boyzone, I can't remember his name, I think it was Shane, right, the one who was married to Esther from Eternal. He was talking about how the records that certain pop stars made would be prayed over by ritualistic, in ritualistic magical ceremonies. I don't know how true he is that he saw that, but I am willing to believe that that actually happens. I notice myself and my behavior when I'm listening to Beyonce's music, when I'm listening to Taylor Swift's music. And speaking of Beyonce, I used to frequent an occult group. And many of the people in there were just like me. They love to do the occult and stuff like that. But there was one person in that group in particular who talked about Beyonce and talked about how Beyonce used the power of magic, but she used it in ways that were negative. She took it to a dark place. So I absolutely believe that a lot of these successful businesses are using magic and using egregores to become successful. This includes churches, by the way. This includes churches. This includes religions. They all use egregores to boost their spiritual power. They all use sacrifices. They all use death to fucking supplement what they're doing. They all use that. And before you say it, no, it's not just demonic energy and the use of fucking malevolent spirits. No. Everything is about trade. So if you want something on a major scale, you have to make a major trade. That's how it works. So all these successful people like Taylor Swift, their teams do use ritualism, whether they know it or not, in their music and in their songs, right? They do use ritualism. So I'm not saying that the black magic angle is necessarily a wrongful one. It's just that this Minutes of Horror video, blaming it entirely on black magic and not going down the scientific route, to me, it lacks logic. Because why would people just be losing their memories right off the rip like that? I don't care how big your business is. No magic is that powerful. You have to remember that magic operates with less dimensions. Like even ritualistic magic, it operates on less dimensions than mundane work does. That's why it doesn't matter whatever religion you go into. It doesn't matter if it's Christianity, doesn't matter if it's Wicca, doesn't matter if it's Satanism, doesn't matter if it's fucking, the Muslim religion or Judaism. They will all say the same thing. You can pray, you can have the ritualism, but you actually have to get out there and do the work for what you want. You have to make sacrifices. Every single spiritual practice says the same thing. You have to make sacrifices. And I believe that the use of frequency weaponry in order to disrupt people's memories, I believe that that is part of the sacrifices being made on a mundane level. The mundane level is where technology comes in. So it's not enough just to have the rituals and the black magic and the this, that, and the third. You have to actually have the technological component and the psychological component. They make up the mundane aspects of the work. Which leads me right into the frequency weaponry. A lot of these people are losing their memories. Again, I've discussed it with an ex-Navy man. He says there are about 10,500, I think it's 10,500 signatures in the brain. And there are about like 600 odd like signatures for each of them or something like something like that. I've written it down in the notes, right? Actually, let me get those notes right now. Let me get those notes, hang on, because I've written them down. So there are over like 10,500 signatures in the brain. Now let me see, because I've written it down. Thank God I wrote it down. You know what I mean? Yeah, let me see. Okay, so right. So the average human has about 10,500 biological structures that can be influenced and affect the brain, right? And there are 600 pulses that can influence the brain. Now, there is already technology out there that's long been out there that can influence the frequencies of the brain. And if there are God knows how many like biological structures out there, if there are 10,000 biological structures in the brain alone, like 10,500, and there are 600 pulses that can influence the brain, it makes sense that there are frequency weapons out there that can affect your memory. Quite a few TIs have experienced their memory just going just like that. It's not natural to do that. Those things can be induced, and the way those things are induced is to ascertain the brain signatures that are already in the building using technology, ascertain the brain signatures that are already in the building that you're targeting. And from there, you match through technology, through maybe LRAD or something like that, you match the brain frequencies of all those who are present in the building. And once you've merged with them, once you've imitated them, you switch the frequencies. Once you've completely merged with that other person's brain signature, you switch the frequencies. So for example, if I'm in my flat and there's technology from across from a building across, if there's, sorry, I'm not getting my words right. Let's just say, for argument's sake, I'm in my flat, I'm completely calm, and there's a van across the road with technology that can affect my brain frequencies and detect my brain frequencies. So what the machine will do is the machine will detect what brain frequencies are coming from my flat and say, okay, she's calm. All right, she's calm. So what we're going to do is we're going to have that LRAD or have that frequency device match her brain energy. We're going to target her, but first of all, before we can change her mood and before we can change her behavior, we're going to match the brain frequency, the brain signature that's already present in the flat. We're going to match that. And once we've matched that, once we've merged with her, then we can switch the frequency, make her feel something else. That's how it works. That's how these frequency weapons work. And if they can do the same thing with just one person, they can do it with specific individuals within a Taylor Swift concert. They're not going to do that with every single concert goer because that's not feasible yet. But they will do that with specific select individuals whose minds are more open and whose minds are more malleable to this sort of technological influence. That's why I believe concert goers have been losing their memories as soon as they leave a Taylor Swift concert. Can't remember a goddamn thing. That's artificial. So the magic forms it forms the magical work, but the magical work works on less dimensions than the mundane work does. The mundane work is where the magic really happens. And a lot of the mundane work is done through technology. So you've got these concert goers losing their memories when they walk out of her concerts. And then you have this poor young Rwandan boy. I can't say poor because I don't know the circumstances. There are 3 children dead and God knows how many others injured. So I don't want to give him too much sympathy here. But if there are concert goers losing their memories at a Taylor Swift concert, who's to say that that young Rwandan boy didn't black out and lose, and end up going on this massacre, on this killing spree, and then completely forget what he did? And who's to say that that was not down to frequency weaponry? Who's to say that that man who attacked that 11-year-old girl, who damn near killed that 11-year-old girl, who's to say the same thing didn't happen to him? Who's to say that his aggression level wasn't heightened and he was made to lose his memory? And you have to remember, when the Rwandan boy killed the 3 children and severely injured the rest, it was at a Taylor Swift themed event. This was not by accident. These were frequency weapons being used to influence somebody's brain signature. That's what this is. That's what this was. That's what happened. I'm willing to bet that that's what happened. And when it came to Taylor Swift, what I personally believe happened, this is where I go into conjecture now. This is what I personally believe happened, right? I believe that Taylor Swift's team, or maybe her dad, because her dad is a financier, her mum is in marketing, maybe her or her parents made a contract, like a military contract with somebody, with a private intelligence firm or with a private defense firm, something along those lines. Like one example comes out of the UK, it's AEGIS, Aegis, right? One example is Aegis from the UK. They don't just have a private intelligence firm, they also have private defense services and private security services. So that's military and security along the same vein as the UK military, and from what I understand, MI5 as well. So we've got private companies that mimic the same thing that civil intelligence is doing. This is how civil intelligence and civil services target their own people without paperwork coming back to them. They use private companies. So what I believe happened was Taylor Swift, her family or her team made a contract with a private defense systems company, knowing that we're in an arms race right now. I believe that they made a contract with those people and said, if you allow us to do certain things, we'll give you this amount of money or we'll give you this amount of protection. That is what I believe happened. I believe it was a partnership between Taylor's family or Taylor's team and the US government, or with these private security companies or these private security firms, private intelligence and private military, private defense. Now, that's what I believe happened. And the reason why I believe this happened is because we've already had court cases in which there have been severely vulnerable people accusing celebrities of trafficking, along with a private intelligence firm called Black Cube. Black Cube is UK and Israel, I believe. Black Cube is a creative intelligence firm. That's what they call themselves. They're a creative intelligence firm. They're a private intelligence firm, and they've been accused of, along with Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Kanye West, they have been accused of trafficking vulnerable people. That's the reason why I believe Taylor Swift or Taylor Swift's family may have a private security contract or an intelligence firm contract or connections within private intelligence or private military, which has led them to making these deals. Do you understand what I'm saying? To make sure that people forget what's going on, forget ever going to the concert. That was technology. And I believe that Taylor Swift or Taylor's team knew something about this, or Taylor's family knew something about this, because there ain't no way. You've got Taylor, who represents herself as a Democrat, and then you've got her father, who financed Trump, apparently, who helped Trump out with his finances. Bro, don't piss me off. Like, and then you've got, and then not only has she got a financier father, she's got a marketing mother over there. She's a rich girl with marketing in her blood. So I have like, and Taylor's not even a girl. She's in her fucking 30s. She's damn near 40, right? With marketing and finance in her family. There is no way that trades weren't made. There is no way. And that's what leads me to Ryan Reynolds. Now, Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift are not as chummy as Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. Taylor Swift and Blake Lively are friends. I believe Ryan Reynolds is kind of on the side, but he's actually very, very powerful. This guy's a billionaire. Okay, he's a very powerful man. Don't let the goofy act fool you. This shit's gonna have nuts in it. Don't let that fool you. He's very powerful. Worth billions. A very shrewd businessman. Don't let anything fool you. So whilst Taylor's got violence attached to her name, where he comes in is he gives people the lighter side of life. He gives people the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. He's got his alcohol brand. Then you've got Blake Lively with her movie. And even though her movie apparently is about domestic violence and overcoming the cycle of domestic violence, she's kind of representing it as this fun, peppy girl's version of Deadpool and Wolverine. So she basically wanted a Barbenheimer. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively basically handled the other side of the equation. They handled the light side, the fun side, by trying to make themselves a Barbenheimer combination. So far, it has only worked for Ryan. This has only worked for Ryan. Blake Lively is getting a ton of backlash right now. Blake Lively is getting a ton of backlash right now. But there's a connection there. Because whilst Taylor forms the left side through these deals that she might have made with private defense and intelligence firms, on the other hand, Ryan is over here giving people the lighter side, giving people a break from the violence, a break from the aggression. So once the aggression is reaching fever pitch and, you know, complete with memory loss and all that shit, Ryan Reynolds is over there giving people happiness, giving people laughter, giving people NSYNC. Oh, it's so cute. Yeah, no, all of this is planned. You have to remember, all of them are friends. And the last time I saw Taylor Swift, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds together was at a football game where Travis Kelce was. Like, Travis Kelce is Taylor Swift's latest boyfriend. So that was the last time that I saw them all together in the public eye. That's the last time I saw them all together. And we all know that the way rich people make their deals is not just in the boardroom. In fact, it rarely ever is in the boardroom. It's you know, it's from golf courses and football games and all that type of stuff. It's from leisure. Why do you think they get the VIP section? Why do you think the VIP section is the way it is? They're not just there to have a good time. They're there to make fucking deals. When it comes to rich people, the best deals are made through leisure. So it's likely that they had a conversation about this particular turn of events. It's likely that they had a conversation about it during after Travis Kelce's football game, and they wanted to celebrate or something. So they most likely had a conversation about it then. They most likely said, look, a military firm approached me. They wanted me to do this. Maybe Ryan, you should do this. You got a conversation between Taylor and Ryan, 2 fucking billionaires. Again, everything that I'm saying up to, you know, about Taylor and Ryan's connection is conjecture only. It's conjecture only. So this is what I believed happened. I believe they had a meeting between themselves. Again, these 2 are billionaires. They're middle-aged billionaires. Let's not get this shit twisted. Okay, so I believe they had conversations before these turns of events went the way they did. I wholeheartedly believe that. And I wholeheartedly believe that they knew at least something of what was going on. Maybe they didn't know the full details. Figureheads rarely do know the full details. They just know the tail end of all the discussions that have been had between the middlemen. So figureheads like Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds, they don't know the full details of it. But I think they would have gotten the gist of everything, and I think they would have agreed to everything that's going on right now. That's what I believe happened. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is the connection between Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds. It's a psyop. The whole thing is a psyop. And then on top of that, what I've got to get into, especially, is that Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds seem to be 2 parts of the same coin here. Because you've got Ryan Reynolds, who's married to a woman. First of all, they got married on a plantation. You know, where slaves were. They got married on a plantation. Blake Lively has an obsession with Southern white women of the slavery period, let's be real. She's got an obsession with them. And she has this obsession with having a nuclear family. When she talked about Ryan Reynolds, she talked about him being the kind of patriarch a man should be. So, you know, Blake Lively has been on some trad wife, alt-right nonsense from the beginning. She just didn't call it that. Whereas with Taylor now, Taylor's cleverer than Blake, I think. But then again, it could be due to the fact that her mum is in marketing. I think Taylor's a lot cleverer than Blake is, because Taylor has been talking about fuck the patriarchy. She's been talking about fuck racism, fuck queerphobia, all the rest of it. Like singing from the rooftops about how progressive she is. And yet, when it comes to one of the biggest loves of her lives, allegedly, who is that? Matt Healy. Matt Healy, this is a guy who apparently likes to watch black women being violated. And when I say violated, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Apparently he likes to watch that shit. I could be wrong. It could be someone else I'm talking about. But Matt Healy has... Matt Healy has been into some nasty shit, especially when it comes to race and things like that. And yet Taylor has been Google-eyed over this shit, Lord. You know what I mean? So there is clearly an agenda here. The trad wife alt-right stuff is not just happening through politics. It's not just happening through a bunch of politicians and a bunch of fucking right-wing pundits talking nonsense. It's also underneath the scenes with supposed progressives leading the charge. But whilst all these right-wing pundits and stuff, like, they're obvious grifters, people like Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift with their fucking the racist loves of their lives, you know, they're the ones who really know how to grift. They're the ones who really know how to jump on a bandwagon, and they're jumping on it subtly. They're slowly letting parts of themselves eke out at a time where the far right is on the rise. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. And what's Hugh Jackman doing there? Why is Hugh Jackman everywhere? I think Hugh Jackman is either being held hostage, which I very much doubt, or, I'm not going to say it, you guys can figure it out from my facial expression. But everything that's going on right now, the increased violence, the increased aggression, long story short, that's down to frequency weaponry. It's also a little bit down to magic. It's down to frequency weaponry and it's down to magic as well, but mostly frequency weaponry. That's what's going on right now. That's the state of the world right now, and what Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds have to do with this. But again, almost everything that I'm saying is conjecture, but this, what I'm about to say next, is not conjecture. As I'm looking at this, there are 17, count them, 17 active private intelligence services in the West. You've got Aegis UK. I talked about that already. They've got their own private military and security over there. And then you've got Aggregate IQ, Canada. You've got Archimedes Group, Israel. You've got Black Cube, I mentioned them too, Israel and UK. You've got Bose Allen Hamilton, US, United States. You've got Control Risks Group, UK. You've got Emma Data Limited, UK. You've got Fusion GPS. Now, Fusion GPS has been talked about a lot with targeted individuals. That's in the United States. And I think the fact that Fusion is brought up so much is in its own way misinformation, because there are 17 active intelligence services here. There's no way that only Fusion GPS is responsible for gang stalking. So Fusion GPS is another one. That's US. Group GEOS. That's France. Hackliot and Company. That's UK. Kroll Incorporated. That's US. NSO Group. That's Israel. Oxford Analytica, that's UK. Palantir Technologies, that's US. Now, interesting thing about that, I looked up Palantir and I'm thinking, that sounds real middle-agey. Let me look up the name of that intelligence services. And sure enough, I look up Palantir, and basically the name comes from Lord of the Rings, which means seeing stones. Now, in Lord of the Rings, who was using the seeing stones? Have a think. If you're Lord of the Rings, who is using the seeing stones? There were two people in Lord of the Rings using the seeing stones. Saruman, the White, and Sauron, the main fucking villains. So these people use the names of instruments of villains and all that type of stuff. They know what they're doing. They're communicating with us exactly what their intentions are through their names, through the coded messages of that, like through fiction and stuff like that. We're being told exactly who we're being led by. We're being told and we're not listening. So that's an interesting fact about Palantir Technologies. And then we've got Pinkerton National Detective Agency. That's the US. You've got Smith Brandon International Incorporated. That's the US. And we've got Stratfor. That's the US. So those are 17 active, 17 active private intelligence services in the US. And that, not just the US, but the West in general. And that's just the West. We ain't gotten onto the discussion of BRICS yet. And there's a reason for that. The Nazis are supposed to be the West. The West are supposed to be the new Nazis. And the Nazis are supposed to lose. This is World War III. And World War III, we might not see bombs drop over here. That's the truth of the matter. Privileged countries might see more civil war than actual war. And it's done to maintain the hierarchy. That's done to maintain the hierarchy of the nations that we live in. But I think we might see more civil war over here in the UK and in Israel and in the US than actual ordinary war. And I think our fates will be decided by that, rather than any foreign countries coming over here and bombing the shit out of us. Bombing the shit out of us. Sorry, I'm slurring. You know, that's what I think will happen. I think the West are meant to lose. I think the West have been losing for a long time. It's been put out there. BRICS are getting ready to take over proceedings. And in the meantime, the West have to get rid of their stragglers. And the only way they're going to do that and avoid too much suspicion is if they use the frequency weaponries to make people kill each other over here. That's the only way it's going to happen. That's the only way it's going to happen. They have to get rid of the stragglers in the West, get rid of anybody who might be a problem, and do it through frequency weaponry. That's how they're going to do it. So, yeah, the new Nazis of the West, the same allies that fought against the Nazis, have become the Nazis. Low-key. And it's, it's just how it is. Like, you fight against one thing and you live long enough to become that thing. It happens. And the West was never innocent. The West always had apartheid and shit like that. They were just more subtle about it. That's all it was. Especially in the UK. It was just subtlety. It was just subtlety. Subtlety was the only difference between the UK and everyone else. But it was the same agenda over here too. Okay? That's why it works so much better. Because we've never had a black president. And the Asian president wasn't even voted in. Britain is better at their apartheid than any other country. That's the only thing Britain's good at. That's the only thing Britain are better at in comparison to everything else. They're apartheid. But yeah, Britain, the West, were meant to lose. It's strategic, all of it. Yeah. And then we've got the inactive intelligence group as well. We've got Cambridge Analytica, who Facebook were working with. But then again, all major companies are working with private intelligence firms. There's nothing new. And then you've got the Psy group and the SCL group. All of those are inactive. Only 3 out of 20 private security or private intelligence agencies are inactive right now. 3 out of 17. So, yeah, I believe Taylor Swift took a contract, and that's why all of this is happening. And another reason why all of this is happening is to pave the way for the far right. It is to pave the way for the far right in this country so that the far right can lose. So that the rest of the world can wring its hands and say, oh my God, they're so barbaric. They're so awful. Oh. Just like the US did and the UK did. And all our allies did. So the far right is going to take over this country, and this country is going to lose. Because all the far right have demonstrated that they do is fuck everything up. And in order to smoothly ease the transition out of Western power to the power of BRICS, in order to make that transition as smoothly as possible, you've got to have the most destructive elements of each of these countries fucking up the place. Because it's not like we're going to be able to compete. It's too late for that. So yeah, that's what's going on. And truth be told, again, my community is sticking their heads under the sand. Everybody's sticking their heads under the sand. I know at least like a couple of people that have technology that can counteract what's going on right now. But do you seriously think that the communities that are most in danger are interested in that? Of course not. Of course not. So, you know, as much as I'm proud of everybody in this country for standing up to racists, you're not doing the real important work. So what's the point? This isn't going to protect anybody. It's not gonna protect anybody. It's not gonna change anything. The information that I'm giving right now, even if I don't get credit for telling people what's going on, and you know how much I love fucking credit. You know how much I love flattery. Okay? Even if I don't get that shit, if somebody takes this information and uses it to save people and to save the right people, if somebody takes this information to save the most marginalized people in this world, then I've done my fucking job. I don't need to be seen for that. But anyway, I have been Empress Justice, and this has been, what, a conjecture video? I don't know, baby, but I'm gonna leave the relevant links to everything that I've spoken about today. And yeah, I will see you next time in the next video. Peace and blessings. Oh, wait a minute. Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm going to be at Black Brighton Market for the last time on the 17th and 18th of August. And I'm also going to be taking a break from my readings until November. When I say I'm taking a break, it means that I may or may not do readings within those 3 months. I may or may not do readings. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stop doing readings altogether. It means that the regular readings that I do, I'm not going to be doing them because I've had a lot to deal with and there's a lot that's been going on. And, you know, speaking of which, I got to talk about my mother and Suzanne Summers next and the loose connections between their stories. But for another time, I have been Empress Justice, and this has been yet another video pleading with people to get a fucking grip. Because this is real, this is happening. And if you want to save yourselves, if you're serious, you know what to do. There are people within your communities, whether you're black, white, brown, whether you're gay, straight, trans, there are infiltrators and saboteurs in your community that are helping all of this along. They are seduced by this evil, blackmailed by this evil, bribed by this evil. You will know who they are through their actions. If you're serious, you need to keep a close eye on your next door neighbor. Because they are involved. They are partially the reason why little girls are being stabbed. And in the case of Southport, stabbed to death. Watch the company you keep. Empress Justice out. Bye-bye.